Hi, are you interested to see how AI-based automations can help you in your day-to-day lives? Stick around and I'll walk you through a scenario from my personal life which I made into a business case. The scenario is pretty simple. My son is attending SAT prep classes this summer and his coaching center sends me his test scores, which he takes 3 times a week, in an email. I wanted to see how he's doing. So I thought, why not build a dashboard to track his progress and monitor his results? So to build this, I've used N8N to extract the information from my mail, Google Sheets, and Supabase to store the information, the data, and then I used Loveable to help me build a dashboard. And I used an MVP approach to build on these solutions iteratively. So let's look into the first one. And at the end, I'll show you how I took this scenario from my personal life and made it into a business case. So let's look into it. MVP 1. In this, I'm just extracting the data. So they send out an email every day of the test, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with attachment which includes the scores of everybody in the class, including my son. So the first step is to kind of filter out, fetch the emails. So between a particular dates from when he started his classes for the next couple of months, I'm using the email ID of the coaching center from where we get the emails to filter. So this is the first step. Then I am actually filtering out only the emails which have an attachment. So they send other emails regarding some instructions and things like that, but I'm only interested in the emails where they have an attachment which with the test score. So I'm filtering based on um, the it having an object. So attachments come in as binary files. So I'm looking for if an object exists. For emails without the attachment, this would not be the case. And I'm also filtering based on the subject. The subject has test score. So this way I'm now zeroing on only the test score attachments. So the next step is to actually do the extraction. It's a PDF document. Can probably show this here, right? It looks something like this. The first column is the student IDs, and then they have multiple columns for the scores for each of the module and the overall score. So this is the PDF from which we need to extract. So I use this inbuilt node from N8N for extracting from PDF. I give the attachment, so it extracts out the various aspects of the file. Now, before we pull out the specific scores, I also want to set the date of the test because the attachment doesn't have the date. So I'm using the date from the email that I received. So it has a field called date. So they send the scores on each day of the test at the end of the day. So I'm using that as the test date. So I'm basically going back to that node, fetching the date, and then I'm doing a format to pull out only the month, the year, month, date format, right? I don't need the other time information. So I set it here, and then I'm using this information extractor field to actually take out just the scores. And also, in this case, I'm right now only interested in my son's score. So I'm using his ID to pick out, uh, scores from only his test. So there's a schema. So again, for people who are not very technical, I'm also not like so technical. So obviously, if you want to get this built, what I usually do is I go to Claude. I explain, I give them, this is the attachment, this is what I'm trying to do, blah blah blah. Give the details of the columns and so on. And if do a couple of iterations with Claude, you can easily get on to exactly what you need. Even in case, I even had an error in between. So I, pasted that and said, hey, this was the error I'm getting. So you just need to do, a couple of iterations with Claude and you'll be able to easily get down to exactly what JSON you want to, what you need to pull out the score. So now you see in the output, I'm able to get the individual module scores along with the overall score. Okay, so Now, the next part is about actually putting into a database. So for MVP1, where I'm trying to just, pull out my Sun score and visualize it in a simple Google Sheet, right? So I write it into a Google Sheet. I write down the test date. I extract the scores. So if you see the scores in the PDF, it's like the score slash the overall score, right? Like 480 over 510, right? That's the max. So I'm only interested in the 480. So I do a small manipulation here. In fact, I did a slice to just pull out the first three numbers, and it worked pretty well. But then later down, I realized it's not a good way to do it, because if you get a two digit score, it's not going to pull the correct data. It's going to pull the slash. So actually, what you need to do here, instead of doing the slice, if you do a split, and in the split function, you give the separator, which is slash, and then you tell which item in the array. So what this does is it will split 480 slash 510 into 480 array 1 and 510 is array 2. I'm interested only in the array 1, which is 0. So this will now pull out only the score, in this case 220. 480 would be the next one, right? So yeah, some small conversions and things to kind of get the data. So this I'm writing into a Google Sheet. Um, so I'm now putting the date, the score of each of the modules, and the overall score. And then I ask Google Sheet to kind of do a basic visualization. So this is MVP1, where, quick and dirty, easy to visualize, extract the data from the email and visualize. MVP2, as much as the technical details of the N8N workflow, picking out the specific email, downloading the attachment, extracting the data from the PDF, and then putting into a Google Sheet to show those charts. As much as that is sounds very interesting for some of the technical folks, the key is in visualizing the output, right? So that's where I thought, okay, Google Sheets charts are okay, but to take it to a level where somebody looking at it is really impressed or is able to easily look at the outcome. So to visualize this in a nice looking dashboard, I'm using this platform called Loveable.dev. Many of you have probably used it in the past. So this makes building dashboards and web pages or apps, pretty easy, right? So what I did, I went in and gave a prompt explaining, this is what I'm trying to do. These are some of the columns, and I need, some a dashboard. So first shot, and again, I'm using the free instance. It gives you like around, I think 4 to 5, depending on the complexity. But for regular tasks, 4 to 5 tasks per day is free. If you need more than that, you'll need to upgrade. So the first shot, it built me a sample dashboard with some hard coded data, and then it asked me if I want to connect it to a database with real data, right? So it has an automatic connection to Supabase. So it connected to Supabase. There again, you can go put in some basic login details. Here again, I'm on a free version, and then I created a table of my own, right? And if we go back to our example of what were the key things that we were trying to store from our Google Sheet, we had the date, we have the different modules: reading, writing 1, 2, math 1 and 2, and score, right? So these are like these 5 columns plus the date. So this is like the main things that we want. So I created a table with the test date. These first two columns are by default created by the system, and I just said, these are the columns I want to create. Uh, the key thing here is make sure you're picking the right data type. If it's numeric, if alphanumeric, you need to select the type, right data type. The other little bit of technical details I had to do was, there is a authorization policy, like row level security, which it'll ask for. So again, right now I'm just giving it full access, to whoever was able to access it. To kind of get to this, again, I used Claude to figure out what is the right syntax to kind of give this access, right? So this was the only technical issue I had got. So once I had this database set up, now I have to connect my N8N workflow to update data into this database for the dashboard to work, right? So again, pretty simple. Use the same credentials that you have in Supabase. You connect your N8N instance to that, and then here, once you select the specific table, right? Like this is the name of the table that I'm using, weekly test scores. It'll automatically populate the different columns that we've created there. Now all you need to do is map the output of your N8N workflow to the various columns, right? So whatever I'm getting as an extract from this information extractor, I'm just, doing a little bit of manipulation to just capture only the score, and then I'm putting it into the database. So now every time my N8N workflow runs, it's going to go and populate the database table here with the scores for each of the weeks, right? Each of the tests. So now with this, if I come back to Lovable, and I had to do a couple of iterations to kind of fine tune exactly what I wanted in the report. But with that, now I have this beautiful, simple, but very elegant report, right? And it kind of clearly captures, the date of each test, what are the individual scores, what's the overall score, what's the trend, how is he progressing. I can go into detailed view. I can look at this. I can say, looks like math 2 is obviously one area where he's up and down. Even the rest of the areas he's probably doing fine. So the intent was to be able to get this kind of a visualization. And now with the help of this workflow and this lovable dashboard, I'm able to kind of get this. So that's MVP2. MVP3. So this is where the business case comes into picture, right? So I thought, okay, since I have the data, each of the test results have the data of all the students. I just have the ID, I don't have the names, but I have the data of all the students. Why not I build a dashboard and give it to the coaching center and tell them, hey, this is for the entire class. If you want to share it with any of the parents who are interested, or if you want to kind of use it to track each individual's progress, please feel free to use it, right? This is how easily we can, take some of these scenarios and make it into a business use case. So what I did was I'm now storing the files that they send for each of the test results in a Google Drive. So I'm fetching the files one by one from the Google Drive. I extract the date out of the file and set it as the test date. And in this step, I'm downloading the PDF. I'm extracting the PDF. Only the information extractor is pretty similar. Small change to get all the rows instead of just that single row of my sun score. The only I had to figure out, now it was outputting like whatever 40, 50 rows. How do I write it into Supabase, into my database one at a time? So I tried a couple of options. Finally, I'm using this separate rows, the multiple rows that the information extractor gives, and spits it out into one by one. And then the rest is the same way. I'm writing it back into the database. So I created a different table, called it all test scores. The only additional information here, apart from the module scores, is the student ID, which we will use in the dashboard to kind of filter based on the student. Back to Loveable, asked it to tweak the dashboard to now include all the students and to be able to filter by student. So now if I you know, it gave me this dashboard and it has all the students who have the test scores. I don't know their names. This is a good thing. And now it gives, each student's individual performance. I can also go into a detailed view where it shows for that particular student what is their, trend looking like in terms of all the modules, right? So this way, I've taken a simple scenario from my personal life and made it into something I can pursue as a business case. For now, I'm going to just give it to the coaching center and ask them, if you're interested, use it. If any of the parents are interested, share it with them, right? So yeah, that's MVP 3. Yeah, so that's it. Just wanted to kind of quickly run through how I've taken this simple personal use case and made it into a business scenario. I hope you liked it, found it interesting. Wanted to cover the MVP approach. And also, I think the most important thing is to make the output, the visualization of the output is key to make it more sellable and to be able to attract, paying customers. Thank you for watching the video. I would love to hear your comments, thoughts, and also other suggestions on what some of the other scenarios we can think about automating. Please do like, share, and subscribe. And till I see you on the next one, take care. Bye bye.